Good morning and hey howdy. A cup of joe to help brace me for this morning's topic. How well do you know what you think you know? And before you answer that question, gosh darn it, hit like, subscribe. Let's keep talking because this conversation is getting good. We had a few days ago a poll about what would happen if we put a blow dryer plugged into a bucket of water. Super unnatural, right? So we tried it. You're going to see that in a second. And we also did the video, the same thing, asking you guys, what do you think? How are we going with this? So, and there's also a great story involved. Hang on and stand by. So here is our poor victim, the blow dryer. So let's get to it. Let's turn this bad boy on. Okay. Make sure you see the GFI. Here we go. What's going to happen? Paul, get over here so you can watch. Okay, so you can see the water is still moving. That blow dryer is running underwater. Now, if you look up here, it is plugged into a functioning GFI. So here's my question to you all. Why is that GFI not tripping? Why is this water turning into a hot tub instead of tripping? What is missing? Well, let me tell you a story while we're watching the water get warm. 25 years ago, I was standing around this same kind of bucket with about 12 guys, and we were doing a safety meeting. And I thought, what better safety meeting than to show people how a GFI really works? So I stole one of my wife's blow dryers. She was unhappy. And I went out, and we were standing around outside. We had an outdoor GFI, and I did this. And here's the tougher part. I was repeating what my dad had told me before, and I'd never tested it. And I said, so Dad, what happens? How do GFIs work? And he said, Butch, that's another story. Butch, the way the GFI works, as soon as your blow dryer hits the water, that GFI is going to trip instantly and save a life. So 25 years ago, I'm standing around super confident because my dad had said it, and we're doing the same thing, except the bucket was orange. And we were all standing, and everybody looked up and stared at me. And I said, I don't know. So we tested the GFI. Was it a bad GFI? Was the ground dropped? We went through all those scenarios. And you know what that revealed to us? Is we didn't understand how GFCIs actually work. So we'll do some verification. So let's do something right now. It's still running. Apparently that old blow dryer was super dirty because the water is turning into tea. That's pretty gross. But let's take our voltmeter. Okay, so Paul, I'm going to go to the neutral. I want to see if there's any voltage in this bucket. Let's confirm it in case somebody's like, that's not really there. All right, what's our voltage there, Paul? Can you read that number? Okay.
40.7.
Yeah, 40.7. We've got 40 volts of power there, unknown amount of amperage, which we could figure out. So that water right now is hot, okay? We'll talk in a second why that GFI is not tripping. So here's your clue why that GFI is not tripping. We're going to take this wire, watch with me. I'm going to take this wire, I'm going to connect to ground, which is this 4 square box right there, that's grounded, and we're going to go to the water. So Paul, watch this GFI, let's see what happens. Tripped instantly. Why? So let's reset it. Blow dryer goes back to heating the water. One more time, here's your clue. Again, GFI didn't trip. We're adding, here's your clue, we're adding a path to ground. Instant trip, GFI works like it's supposed to. Why? Come on over here, let's go to the whiteboard. Here's the why. Let's explain this. A GFI, let's draw this. A GFI functions with the current transformer inside. It's looking for current loss. And that threshold is set out between 4 to 6 milliamps. So it's looking for a current loss. So let's say we are plugged in to this GFI, and let's say this blow dryer that's blowing around in there is drawing 8 amps. Well, on the return path, the GFI needs to see 8 amps to not trip. However, if there's current that gets lost outside, and all that has to be is equal to or greater than 4 to 6 milliamps, it'll trip. So why didn't it trip? It's the bucket, right? The bucket is plastic. So here's what happened. The GFI never saw a current loss, right? So that water was energized, but there was no lost current until what? Until we took a wire and we created a ground path from the water, which was energized, out to the ground. And once that happened, that GFI tripped instantly. So if you don't have a path for current to leak out for the GFI to sense it, it's not going to trip. So here's what we found out. Here's what blew my mind 25 years ago, was all those movies we've seen, right, where somebody's going to, make it look like an accident and murder somebody they hate. I guess that makes sense. Why would you murder somebody you love? Anyways, murder somebody they hate, and they throw that toaster into the bathtub. Person's in their awkward moment because they're naked and they're in the water, and there's a toaster in there too plugged in. And in the old days, you had all these horrific scenes, but think about now, the last 15, 20 years. Right now, we have a fiberglass tub that is plumbed with plastic, with a ABS plastic drain line. So tell me now, what happens in that movie? I throw that toaster in there to kill my nemesis. What happens? Very awkward moment. Nothing. Nothing happens. We're heating up the tub. And then there's going to be some questions asked, but that's a different story. So when we were standing around all those years ago, I found out something that I did not know what I think I knew. Understand how GFCIs really work, and they work, again, by current loss, 4 to 6 milliamps or more. So if you're in a situation where you have an appliance electricity introduced into this space that's insulated, and so all this water became part of the circuit, not going to trip. There's no current loss. Now, is it still dangerous? Yeah, when we measured potential between there, remember we had 40.7 volts from the water. Oh my gosh, from the water, that's English, believe me, water to ground. Okay. So think through this. Here's some other scenarios. Some of you guys that work with swimming pools. Scary, right? Portable spas. Think about it. Are we grounded correctly? Think about it in the context of an insulated bond of water, current in it. If it's not grounded, GFI won't work. Click like, subscribe. But the poll, we did this poll. About 3/4 of us said, hey, when this blow dryer hits the water, it's going to trip. Of the people who responded, Felix Chow, you got it right, buddy. You understood that. Here you go. The rest of us who thought, hey, it's going to hit the water and go, understand what you know what you understand, and I'll see you next time.